Well, Chris Hogg, welcome to the Forum for the Future of Agriculture, now in our 16th year. Christopher Hogg, you are Global Head of Public Affairs at Nestlé. You're talking later today to the forum on funding the transition, talking about food systems and its transformation. So shall we start with that big question, and what would Nestlé's answer be to it?
Well, look, I think our answer would be that we need to focus on what are the conditions that we need to encourage investment. It's not investment just by Nestlé or by other actors in the food chain. It's shared responsibility. But what are the conditions we need to see? And I think there is probably three words we need to remember. We need to create confidence. We need to create confidence that people are prepared to invest, whether that's a big company like Nestlé or a small farm in our supply chain. The second is stability or predictability. If you want to see investment from the private sector, you've really got to try to create the conditions where people feel they have that confidence because there is a stable environment. They've got some sense that if they put money here, it's going to work. And that applies to the farmers too, because if you're asking the farmers to move from ploughing to a no-till type of approach, then and to invest in some machinery, then they've got to know, they've got to feel that there is a stable outlet, that they'll get a return on investment too. The last is partnership, and partnership is really important. We work with 600,000 farmers across the world. And we all understand that this transition is needed, but it has to be a just transition. We have to be able to work with them and bring them with us. It's not going to be something that we can do on our own.
Farmers probably, as one of the actors in this play, would say, but within the chain, would say that there are a lot of demands on them and maybe not enough demands are being made of some of the big players with big money, like Nestlé. You will have heard that criticism before. And what do you say in answer to it?
Well, first of all, I say there are enormous demands on Nestlé and they're absolutely right, from civil society, from the environmental lobby, from our partners, the farmers. Everybody expects a company like ourselves to take a lead. And that's why when it comes to subjects like regenerative agriculture, we've made commitments to try to create some of that stability and to give farmers in particular confidence that there will be demand if they make the changes that are needed. But I think the other thing that's really important, I mean, you've talked about the requirements of Nestlé. It's actually the requirements of everybody in the food system. And we need to start moving away from, say, even a supply chain approach where we just look at our value chain to really to look at a landscape approach. I'm based in Switzerland, and we've got a fantastic example, Agro-Impact, which is in the canton of Vaud, where Nestlé is based. And what happened was that we put together with our partners people from the administration, from the canton, the farmers, the NGOs, the academics, and the private sector. And we've put together something which is going to make a huge dent in dairy emissions. That works because everybody with skin in the game is sitting around the table.
I mean, outcomes will be a theme because we've often talked about what needs to be done. We understand the problems, the solutions. So when do you think outcomes, results will really start to come through from some of these type of initiatives that you're talking about? Well,
we're already seeing outcomes coming through. We've just produced our 2023 Creating Shared Value report, which is our sustainability report. And we're reporting year on year. We're cutting our carbon footprint. We're able to say that peak carbon is behind us. Our use of virgin plastic is falling, so we're increasing the amount of agricultural materials that we're getting through regenerative agriculture. So it's working. But what is really important, and what we're hearing a lot about today, is unless you can get the regulatory environment to support those programs, big companies like Nestlé are going to continue because we've committed to do it. But if we're going to get real value for our investments, then we need to scale this. And to scale this effectively, we need everybody working together. So although I'm talking on a panel about financing the transition, I think what's really, really important is coordination. because it's going to be better coordination, better strategy that is going to make a difference.
So your message then is to policymakers mainly. That's the ear that you want to really open up to you more than any other.
I think my message is to everybody that is involved in the food industry and in food systems. I think it's clear that I worry a little bit that it's all becoming very politicized. I think really...
And polarized.
And polarized. And we've heard a little bit in the discussions so far about that polarization. The truth is that Europe needs a strong food system. It needs a strong food industry, which is competitive and profitable because we can make a contribution. But to get this, it also needs to be a resilient system. And frankly, it needs to be a system where every actor in the system feels that this makes sense. This plan makes sense for them.
And do you feel it's going far enough, fast enough, finally, then? That, you talked about a landscape approach, you've talked about partnership and collaboration, all of those things. But to look at healthy eating, to lead the way, to use your voice, do you need to move further and faster?
I think everybody involved in the food systems can agree on the destination. We all know that this needs to happen. We all know that we're not going to go backwards. I think where we have some debate is on how we get to that destination.
But it's not business as usual, I think. Does everybody agree with that?
I think everybody agrees that it's not business as usual. Nestle has been around for 155 years. We fully intend to be around for another 155 years. That means that we need to have that forward-looking, long-term perspective. But we always talk about being the and company. We also have to deliver in the short term for our shareholders and investors. So I'm not sure what business as usual is or when it was usual, but business as it is today means about delivering for your shareholders, but also delivering for the communities where you operate, and that's the ethos and the strategy of Nestle.
And finally, how important is it to have a forum to talk as we are today, in person, maybe above, beyond, social media and the noise that's there, but to be together with a lot of the people that are those actors within the food chain and hear and listen?
I think opportunities like this don't come up often enough, and the opportunity is to hear a wide range of views. There are people here who have a great deal of expertise, have NGOs, private sector, public sector policymakers. So I think to have those discussions is really important. The one thing, though, that we mustn't forget is how to always bring this back to the people who are actually doing the hard work in the supply chain. And I think that's always something that all of us involved have to keep remembering and challenging each other on, because otherwise it's just a talking shop. So I think what I like about the way that this is organized is it's bringing us all together. It's putting us all in the same room with these interesting debates. But there has been a bit of comment about how, are we just coming back year after year and it's the same old, same old? So I think you asked me before how fast this needs to go. I mean, the truth is it needs to go faster.
Well, Chris, thank you, and good luck with the panel and with action steps.
Thank you.
Thank you.